right, welcome to the August 25th. This is the makeup buyer user group for August. So thank you guys so much for joining us today and fitting us into your schedule since we had some technical issues last week that prohibited us from carrying out the user group as scheduled. We have a full agenda, lots of information to share. So save your questions until that Q&A segment and then use that Q&A feature to make sure that you're entering those questions at that time. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Shane to get us kicked off.
Great, thank you. And thanks to Barb for being here with us as well. And thanks to all of you for joining us. Again, as Kim mentioned, we had some network issues last Thursday. And, thank you guys for hanging in there while we did a reschedule. It was such a struggle for us getting even access to our Zoom application and having the meeting run consistently because the connections were dropping and the audio was poor, just because something was going on with our network that we decided we needed to postpone and reschedule for this Thursday. So again, thank you for moving with us. And big thanks to Kim. Kim was actually on vacation last week and we were all prepared to do the user group, had everything we needed. And then we had those network issues. And we literally, from where we were in Richmond, could not get into the various applications to even send cancellation notices. It was that bad. And Kim logged on in North Carolina from the beach and was sending the cancellations and the rescheduling and everything from where she was out of state. So, big hats off to Kim for being available and being able to do that. We, hated having to bother her, but she's a trooper and was able to do that for us. But again, thanks to everybody for coming in on this reschedule. Let me jump to our agenda for today. Going to do a project update, look at some key dates and some things that are going on. UAT and training environment access, that's exciting. Going to start to talk about that. Training in and of itself, the physical actually training you as an individual. Then finally, after what feels like months and months and months, can actually do some light. I want to call it light demoing today. I'm not going to dig into deep, dark details of requisition and sourcing, but some things I wanted to show you. A couple areas that might have changed, particularly in the requisitioning area, certainly in the navigation around sourcing. I'm not going to go in and do a whole sourcing event, but I want to show you some changes that happened for those of you that use the sourcing module. And then if we have some time, we're going to, try to go right to the top of the hour, take us to 11 o'clock today. If we have a little bit of time, we'll take your questions. So with that, let me shift into our project update. Project update and some dates and things like that. I just have the go live date up there. Yay. Always like repeating that the go live date is 11/1. I'm not going to do a rehash if you're new to the user group. There are some really critical dates that will start in that October timeframe, right around October 1st, where we have some dates as we begin to prepare ourselves for the 11/1 go live date. Please go to the EVA Transition Newsroom, and there's information for you guys. I think it's even titled Key Dates, and it shows you some of those key dates. We'll rehash those and go over those again in September and really dive into detail around that. That's kind of my last bullet down there. We're going to have a conversion discussion during the September bug meeting. And really in the September buyer user group meeting, we're going to prepare ourselves, and Barb and I and Kim, Lisa will probably be here for that one as well. We're really going to get you prepared, going into that 11/1 date and go over all those critical things when we talk about conversion and cutover. So look forward to that in September. Cycling back up to my second bullet point there, the UAT refresh is complete. I've talked about that for a couple buyer user group meetings, that we took some time to refresh our test environment with production data, and that has been finished. Number one, thank you for your patience. We took a little bit more time with that than we thought we would. That doesn't mean we weren't making progress on the project, but certainly we were taking more time internally as new software fixes and changes and enhancements and things were coming into that environment. And internally, we spent a lot more time with that when we thought. For those of you that are going back into UAT, it quite honestly is a very select group of individuals and entities really focused around those of you that do real-time integration and any type of interface or data exchange with EVA, be it importing data into EVA or exporting data out of EVA, particularly purchase order data. Not quite as critical if you're consuming our vendor file. You're not really doing a direct connection to EVA in any way to get our vendor file. Don't really need UAT in a lot of instances if you're consuming the vendor file. But the concept here is integration, import, and export from an interface perspective. If I'm talking Greek and you're like, I have no idea what Shane is talking about, you're probably good because you're not falling into that bucket where you're doing one of those data exchanges with us, either through real-time integration or import or export. My point with all this is messages have gone out or are going to be going out, reaching out to those entities that need to test that technical aspect of the system to get you guys back into our UAT environment and to get you testing that, okay? So those messages are going out, and if you haven't been contacted already, you will be in the very, very, very near future, so look for that. The next bullet point, and this is where, there's a little bit of a dissemination and where a large majority of you as users are going to be. There is a dedicated training environment that has been stood up. That training environment was also refreshed with production data, users, addresses, accounting. The term is allocations in the new system, but accounting or allocations, approval flows, all sorts of things like that are in this training environment. So you really get, suppliers, don't forget suppliers. So you really, in your training environment, get a very, very production-like environment and training. And the focus for this training environment is to get you and your entity and your users ready in this training environment, right? So you have a production-like training environment with your users, and it really has a good look and feel there. It's really production-like. You're getting yourself ready. That's training end users, training yourself. Maybe you want to verify some things, your allocations. Maybe you want to look at your approval flows and things like that. You're going to be doing that in training. And I would argue a large majority of the entities, the agencies, you guys, that's the environment you're going to be in. Those messages, that contact information is also going to be coming out in the very, very near future. You will hear from your account executive. You may hear it directly from us, but when I say us, like an EVA team member, but more than likely it's going to be an account executive. And just wanted to let you hear about that. And I also see Barb has come on. So I want to let her add to that. Hi, Barb.
Thanks, Shane. So I just want to share a little bit about that, the messaging for the training environment. So Shane's right. You will hear from your account executive about that. Both state agencies and local governments will hear directly from their account executive, and we're focusing on a phased rollout of the training environment so that we can provide the very best support to you all as we can. Because if we let everyone loose at one time, we will all be overwhelmed or potentially overwhelmed with feedback and issues and concerns and that kind of thing. And so to give everyone the very best support we can and the best possible experience, we're going to do a phased rollout of that. And so we'll focus on folks that have very complex workflows, for example, or that have a lot of users. But at the same time, we may be focused on folks that don't have many users so that it's a little bit easier to provide that support to them and that kind of thing. So more information to come from that from your account executives. And if you don't hear from your account executive next week with the training link, please don't be too anxious. Just be patient with us as we roll out the training environment for you. You will have plenty of time to check it out and to get your users in the training environment. But there's certainly everything to be said for the LMS and utilizing the online training that is available on the LMS first. And likely you will hear your account executive say, if you call with or reach out with a question, the first thing they're going to ask you is have you completed the training online? Because the training that's available in the LMS shows you step by step how to do your requisitions and your purchase orders and your sourcing events. So, but hang in there with us. We're coming.
Awesome. Thank you, Barb. Appreciate that perspective about that particular environment. And it is a great lead in. Barb even doubled down on it. I'll triple down on it. Virtual instructor-led training, but also the self-guided training. That self-guided training is available. There is a training link in the EVA Transition Newsroom. If you have any questions about the self-guided training, please reach out. We will get you that information. We can point you right to the spot on the website in the Transition Newsroom where you can see all the learning journeys and how to get access. It's super easy to get access and get into that environment so you can take that self-guided training. And then what that leads you into is instructor-led training. Some of you guys out there, you are handling yourselves the instructor-led training. So there are some agencies, you guys are doing it yourself, and we really appreciate that. And then some of you are relying on DGS, DPS to do that. And my note here is we've got some training that we've been doing in August. We're really going to take a pause on that in September. We want folks to focus on any UAT testing they need to do, if that's required. Again, if you're an integration interface agency, any training environment access you'd like to get as that rollout happens, and anything you want to do in the training environment. And then in October, we will have a very aggressive, and again, this is for DGS, DPS, if you're relying on us to handle your instructor-led training, we will have a very, I call it aggressive, or there will be a lot of opportunities pretty much every day in October. There will be some sort of instructor-led training going on across the platform, from requisitioning, catalogs, sourcing, contracts. I mean, you name it, we're going to be doing it in October. That schedule's coming out very, very, very soon. So you'll have a feel for that. But again, taking a little break on the instructor-led training in September so you guys can focus UAT, if that's where you and your organization need to be, training environment, if that's where you need to be. And if that's not the case, that self-guided training that is available from us as well, and getting in there, getting familiar with the system. So great stuff. And again, appreciate Barb and her team helping us out with that, and really, being your resource to get you guys up and running in that training environment. So very excited about that. Good news too, the training, both materials, program, instructor-led training, all that stuff, that's going to be there post go live. And so is the training environment. So these aren't things that are going away once we go live, right? You're going to have these environments available to you. You're going to have these materials available to you post go live. So certainly a lot of things we want you to do going into the 11/1 go live date, but post go live stuff available as well. So again, excited about sharing that update with you. Excited about, we're really counting down 60 days plus until we go live. So a lot of things happening. I'll just repeat myself. When we come back and meet in September, we're really going to be conversion / cutover focused and talking about what that means to you guys, talking about those dates, some key things you need to be looking out for. I don't like to use the term blackout dates, but certainly things you need to be considering. We really want to run through that with you in September and really do that September user group being very focused going into October, and what conversion and cutover means. So looking forward to doing that in September. But that's not what we're doing today. That's not what we're doing today. Continuing with our user group for today, we're going to do some demoing. It's been a while. Hopefully you guys have taken your self-guided training before the most recent extension of the go live date. You maybe had a chance to be in the UAT environment and see some things. I want to do some light demoing today and just look at the requisition and the purchase order. One of the things I'm going to do is we're going to talk about change orders to converted transactions. This is a big change for us. Now, the steps, the points and clicks that I'm going to show you today, it's no different than doing a regular change order or a change order if you create a transaction in the new environment. But again, it's just a topic. I want to show you what you're looking for and some things like that, and just kind of let you see that. Get back into the requisition tool and let you see some stuff. We're going to talk about sites, what that means on a requisition. I'm going to talk about workflow. Again, guys, I'm going to be real high level today. This is just kind of refreshing you guys, letting you see that requisition again. I do have some cool things to show you around ad hoc approvers. That's kind of a new thing for us and where that fits in and works. Going to look at line item type, that you can tell what type of line item you have on a transaction. I'm going to show you that. That takes like a second. I'm going to show you that real quick. And then if you had been in the environment in the past or in our existing environment, you know that you can do comments and attachments at both the header and the line item. I'm going to show you where those are on the requisition as you're going through and creating a requisition. And then I'm going to jump into sourcing very, very quickly. And we made some changes. And again, I know not all of you use the sourcing module. That's maybe not something that is part of your job or is required. But for those of you that do any type of sourcing, be it quick quote or be it a more complex solicitation like an IFB or an RFP, I'm going to show you kind of the project creation and getting into that RFX. There were some, we think, usability changes made that make that a little bit more clear how you get in and actually start that solicitation. So some good stuff there that we're going to go through. So I don't have any more slides. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to escape out of this. So I've stopped sharing and I'm going to reshare my browser. To do that, let me make sure. Okay, there it is. Go back into share. No. Okay, so now you should see. Let me get my lovely camera view out of the way.
Yes, you're good.
Okay, thank you. I was just going to ask if one of my panelists could confirm they can see the EVA, our EVA, new EVA homepage, right? Or our portal page. I've already logged in. Now you'll notice my name isn't exactly, doesn't say Shane up here. I am in UAT, don't worry. I'm not in a production environment, but I am using the lovely and talented Davina Ellis's account. Davina works for us in DPS and does a fair amount of purchasing and all sorts of great things to keep us straight here at DPS. And I'm using her account so you can see some things, because Davina, I don't do a lot of purchasing, and Davina has some converted transactions. So that'll help us from a converted transaction perspective to look at a converted transaction and what that means. So what I'm going to do, kind of the first thing from my list, is I want to show you real quickly about pulling up what does it mean to find a converted transaction and being able to do a change to that. Again, points and clicks, it's pretty easy, but just kind of conceptually walk you through that. So here I am in my home area. Under procurement, we have all sorts of choices, including one that I'll be excited to show you guys here in maybe about a month or so. But again, you can go in, you can create a rec. There's DPS administrative requests. There's all sorts of fun stuff. But what we're going to do right now, because I'm doing a change order. And this is one of the nuances of our new system. In our existing environment, you do a change order or change requisition, you go back to the requisition. This is an existing EVA, classic EVA classic, the ones you guys are using today. In our new environment, when we transition, this is a change to what you do. You actually do the change order by finding the order itself. That's where you initiate the change. You can certainly go in and look at a requisition, but a requisition, once we move into this new environment, is really a vehicle to do approvals and move you through that process to get an order out the door. If I want to make a change to an existing purchase order, I go to browse orders. So I'm just going to go to procurement, browse orders, and that's going to bring up all these orders I've cut. Now there has been some testing going on, so you can see, some testing and things like that in there. You get all sorts of information about the order, the PO number, that's the IVALUA number. There's a supplier, the requisition that it's tied to, the ordered amount, if it's had any receiving, the progress that it's in, so on and so forth. And then if I scroll over, you will see, see, Davina got it. She's just set up perfectly here. She has a couple new orders and she has some converted orders. And you're saying, Shane, how do I know that? If I scroll to the right, again, ever so slightly, you'll see this external code. So these, when it's blank, or if it doesn't have any data, you can use the external code natively and you can put anything in you want it at all. But for converted orders, you're going to see that old or that existing EVA classic order number. So there's an EP, there's some PCO, so I know they're credit card orders. But I know very quickly by looking in that external code field that I've got some converted transactions in here. Great. So I can see those and they've come over, and I can, all right, I've got a converted transaction. So let's find one. There you go. Look, the promotional items for EVA. Look at that. We spent, we spent a lot of money on promotional items. Shame we're not doing forum this year, so we could hand those out to you guys. I tell you what, got to get you guys some swag. So if I wanted to make a change to this order, and it's an EP, I wanted to make a change to this, I'm going to simply go over and I can click on the pencil. I can click on the order number. I will click on the pencil and I can hit that and do the order. Now you'll notice there's this little red, oh my gosh, what's wrong there? There's just a contact missing for that supplier. It's no big deal. It's not a blocking error. It's just kind of warning me that something's going on there. So I'm not going to worry about that too much, but I can click on that and I can then go in and I'm in an edit for this order in and of itself. And I got my title, the contact there is Kim. I mean, all sorts of good stuff. Isn't that cool? We can see and hey, great. And we've got some comments here about what was happening. So this looks, very traditional. And oh my goodness, we got 16-ounce pint glasses. We had some shipping we had to deal with. We got stress blocks, all sorts of fun promotional items for the new EVA. And that's all in this area. So I could do a receipt on that if I wanted to do receiving. But in this case, we really wanted to talk about doing a change order. All I have to do, it's a simple, and you know what? I got ahead of myself. There's that external code again. So I can see that's the old number that's referenced. So that is the converted PO number, but I have a new purchase order number now. There it is. That is the IVALUA version or the new EVA version as part of the conversion. But again, I've got that old number and it's as simple as just hitting change. And it even gives you a tip there. Click to edit the order by making it a new requisition, which after approval will supersede this order. So I'm doing a change. I very simply hit change. And you'll notice that puts me into a requisition. Now, we've got some cool options in our new EVA where we can make a determination if this is a significant change or not, and that can impact your approval flow. Guys, I'm telling you, for day one, everything's a significant change. So even if you are updating a spelling mistake, from a safety perspective, to get us used to this new environment, we've got this grayed out for you. It's a significant change. Now, that's something we can change later on down the road, but we do give you an area to describe what happened. So I can, I got some choices here. Am I adding new items, address? Am I changing? Remember, allocation is accounting. Am I changing the existing quantity? Am I changing something in the header? And then we have a thing that says generic change. So let's say we're going to change existing items and quantity. I can do multiples. I'm not stuck doing one. I can add new, I can do that. And so I'm doing two things. We'll just do one thing today. And let's say I'm increasing quantity. Pretty simple, right? Increasing quantity, no big deal. No big deal. Now, coming down into this order, I'm now in a requisition, right? I'm now in a requisition. It throws amendment request, of that PO, so the PO number for my value is referenced, the amendment request is referenced. One of the things you may want to consider doing, copying that external ID, maybe throwing it in as a reference number, that EP number. No, I didn't do that. Probably would have been smart if I would have done that. Maybe you could put the EP number in here as a reference because you are changing within the new environment. So that's maybe, just do a cut and paste or a copy and paste from there. And again, the change order itself, we have training on this. It's not that difficult. You come in, you pick the item you want. Let's see. We did 288 quantity. I don't like 288. Let's say I wanted to add 300. I simply click at it. That brings up the line item. I can come down here. I'm going to adjust my quantity and I'm going to hit save and close. As simple as that, right? I have completed a change. There it is. I've updated the quantity on line one. We're good to go, right? And then from there, I can just very simply hit submit for approval. And, quite honestly, do any type of change you want. And this change order then is going to be processed. It's gone down the line for approval. And that's where I want to shift real quick and talk about approvals a little bit. So you notice I have this organization up here in this corner, and Davina belongs to A194 DPS admin. It says organization. You're going to hear us use terms like site as we move into this new environment. A term you also might have heard is BSO or BiSense organization. So what this is this is the converted BiSense organization for DGS, for DPS, where Davina works and where her custom approval flow is set up. So there are a certain amount of DPS users that live in DPS admin, and that is what is driving her approval flow. So I can go into this workflow box here, and I can see that it starts as draft, and actually the requester has to approve because this was Kim, was that buyer contact. So we're going to have to get some approval there because Kim and Davina didn't equal each other. So I'm actually, when you see it orange, that means it has stopped there. So we're going to have to make sure that gets approved. The approval flow looks a little different than what we had before because it's kind of drawn in this chart. And we check for large value and there's a large dollar approval. We have the ability, even though they won't be turned on day one, to do emergency and confirming order and have a different approval flow for those. There's an expenditure limit approval. And then we have down here, once you get through those, an EVA approvals area where all of your approvals outside of the ones I just showed you, like dollar approvers, signer rules, things like that will live in this EVA approvals area. Okay, so some really cool stuff to look at. If I click on this upcoming approvals, I can click on that and I can see that I've got an expenditure limit approver because this is coming from Kim. I'm actually her supervisor. So I'm going to eventually have to do that. There is a cost code approver here, some organizational rules for her, that there's a cost code approver, and then $1 approvers. There's a lot of folks in that $1 here at DGS, because we've exceeded whatever that first dollar limit is. There's a second page, and then the DPS, there's a deputy director, and we're actually missing an approver there. So again, remember, I'm in UAT, so we got to give somebody a role there. We're missing a role in UAT for the $2 approver, since I actually exceeded whatever my second dollar limit was. And again, that has converted over from existing EVA into the UAT environment, and it's tied to that old Bison's organization, or that site that we were in. So kind of wanted to show you guys that. And just, again, a real high level of approvals. And we do have some new features here where you can do that look ahead and see what's coming. And I was actually able to identify in our test environment that I'm missing this approval profile. This role needs to be assigned to a user. So that's, one of the things, if you guys are in the training environment, looking through your approval flow and you've got a specific site and you see this message, oh my, we just need to get that profile associated with the proper user so that they can do those approvals. So another thing I wanted to show you was the ability to add an ad hoc approval. All right, let me get that alert message out of the way. So ad hoc approvers, we know we can do that on our existing system. We had the ability to do that in our new environment, but you really, if you're heard us talk about this, you really didn't have an opportunity to place it like we did before. But that has also changed. So if I want to add in, if that customer approval flow, I wanted to send it to somebody else, have them have a look at this rec, I can insert an approver, and then I'm back to having that capability like I had before of being able to place that approval, somewhere in the sequence. So who do I want to pick here? She's not here today. She's actually at the beach having a nice vacation. But let's say I wanted to make sure Lisa approved this before our cost code approval. I want to make sure before Jan gets it, because really Jan does our cost code approving for us to make sure we have money in our budget. I really want Lisa to look this over and just confirm before Jan sees this that we have money in our budget. And that's what I'm going to tell Lisa. Hey, Lisa, really need you to right. We want Lisa to just make sure everything looks good and is ready to go before Jan gets it. And I can save that. And then that, gives me that my data is saved. And look, there's Lisa. She drops in the sequence number. She drops in as sequence 49 there in the approval. And so I've guaranteed that she will get that before then. So pretty cool stuff from an ad hoc perspective. So I'm going to hit save and close. All right. And then there she is again. You get a little summary. I could do another one if I wanted to. Let's say, I don't know if I'm in here. Oh, I am. There I am. So, and that's a special ID why you see rec on the end. I have an admin ID and a rec ID in UAT so that I can act more like a traditional user. Let's say you want Shane to look this over. And I want Shane to see it after the cost code approvers, would like Shane to check one last time before it goes to DGS. Right. And DGS procurement is really my $1 guys there, right? Who are checking things. And I can save that. And there you go. You see me pop in right after. And again, Lisa's a cost code approver too, if you see her twice there. So Lisa's ad hoc in at 49. And then you see me there at 51 after my cost code approvers. I can save and close. And then there we are. You can see, I've got somebody before, I've got somebody after, and you can go to town with that from an ad hoc approver perspective. So we're really excited about that, having that ability to kind of move that ad hoc approver around. Now, where that is happening, the ad hoc approver, let me close this, is really in your EVA approvals, which is this area down here. And there can be no EVA approvals, or there can be thousands of EVA approvals. And again, these are your signer rules, your dollar approvers, your contract approver, anything like that, that is kind of a custom approval that you have that converted into this area. And that's where you're placing your ad hoc approvers. So just kind of a quick look in that area. So I'm going to jog back out to the requisition real quick. Let me see. Good. So I'm going to jog back out to the requisition real quick, and I might dig into another one just to show you guys this. One of the things, I don't know how helpful it is for you. I told you to take you a second. It was in the agenda. I just wanted to talk about, we kind of tell you what type of line item you've put in there. There's also SWAM information, as you can see. This was keyed as a non-catalog order, and it shows you that very clearly. This item was a non-catalog order. It also shows you in the item details, but up on that grid, you can see how that end user or how you yourself have added that line to the requisition. The other area, let me go. I'm just going to browse some additional recs out here and see if we've got a few. If I can tell really quickly, if I can find one. Here we go. Let me try this one. Oh, let me try this one. I'm just going to go into this one. And this was from BDC. Oh, they're non-catalog. Darn. I was hoping I'd find one that was from Punch Out so you could see, but you get the point. If it was from a Punch Out on this line, and I'm sorry I didn't look at that sooner so I could really show you one, but on this line, you would see item type would be Punch Out. Item type would also just say catalog, and that means a non-Punch Out catalog item would be the item type. So again, wanted to show you that. Another area I wanted to have a look at you real quick, and let me browse the recs again, and I'll go into my amendment request that we just did. I will jog and I'm going to shrink this side here so we can go over that, is just talk about, but this is submitted. Hang on, let me just create a new rec. So demo rec. So you can see this, and actually might be good for you to watch me just key in a new requisition. So this is a brand new requisition. I simply hit procurement create, and I'm creating a new requisition. It's going to be routine, and it's keying in it supplies non-technology. Big thing, if you've had any training, or I hope you've heard about this, this system is really big on hitting save as you move through. So I get some key information keyed into my header, and I hit save. That brings in my ship to and bill to. I'm Davina in this case. Davina has default ship to and bill tos, and they immediately came in when I hit save. And then also her site, her using the old language, her BSO that she lives in, gets pulled in as well for Davina. So that kind of stuff gets brought in. But what I wanted to show you is the different areas where you can do comments and attachments. And then I'm going to move over to sourcing. So this is a new requisition. I'm just calling it demo. I can scroll down here. I've got a comment area. If I put my cursor over this, this is a header comment that is visible to suppliers. Okay, so this comment is on the header and visible to suppliers. So I can key that in. If I continue to scroll down, I've got an attachments area. Open that up, attachments, and I can select new document if I want to do an attachment. And then I get a choice. Is it an internal attachment or a supplier document? All right. Internal is going to stay internal to you. It will not go to the supplier. Supplier document will be public and available and go out to the supplier in the order. So you get a choice there. Really simple to do an attachment. Let's say we want to do a supplier one. You hit that. You can put, a title, supplier doc. You can put in additional summary if you need more information. And then you can click or drag files into here. Let's click on this. Oh, there's a report. I'll add that. Open that. And there you go. I've added a supplier document and I can hit save and close. And I've got then a supplier attachment. A supplier attachment, on here. So, and then I could add as many documents as I need to add and get that on here. There is also the ability to do internal comments. Internal comments not visible to the supplier. And this is again all in the header. All right, and there we go. And then from a line item perspective, let me add a line. Let me show you what those are real quick. I can come in and add a line. You know me, if you've had anything with me, I buy a lot of beer. $69.99. We're going to get 10 eggs. Getting ready for the weekend here, folks. There we go. I'm going to bring in my commodity and give my. There we go. I'm buying it for Blue Ridge Foods winner. The only reason I picked that vendor is that is my old business that I used to work for, that my family used to own way back in the day, that I worked for when I was in high school and college, now close to 30 years ago. That's tough to say that. But again, just keying in a line real quick, I will go ahead and hit save on this line. It tells me it's a non-catalog requisition. Thank you very much. It brings in some other information here. But what I wanted to show you, there is an area, internal additional details, where you can do supplier part numbers and item cross references and things like that. There is a supplier visible comment. Here, you can also do an internal comment. Line comment here. And then the attachments look the same as we had on the header. If I hit new document, oh, I didn't do my allocations. See, it was very angry once my allocation's there. Probably good that you guys are seeing me do this. See, I am just keying ahead to have that data pull up for me. You can also hit the drop downs to pull in that data. Go. Allocations here. You know what? I'm going quickly. So let me save that because I can see with time. I want to get over to sourcing very quick here this morning. There you go. I saved those. Get my allocation saved. And then attachments is exactly similar to the header, where I can do internal or external to the supplier. All right. So those are the things I wanted to show you on the rec. Regardless of how often you do requisitioning, I hope that was a good experience, just going through, seeing the change order, seeing a converted order, seeing the requisition and adding line items and some of the features within the requisition. I think if the big thing, the takeaway, if you're going to do a change order, that is done at the order, right? I don't go back to the requisition. I go to browse. Ooh, went away quickly. I go to browse orders to do that. I want to shift really quickly into sourcing. I know not all of you are users of sourcing, but I want to show you, for those of you that were familiar or maybe have taken the training with sourcing. I just want to show you this real quick. We made some changes to navigation and how you start a sourcing project. So I'm going to go ahead here and go to sourcing and hit create sourcing project. Sourcing is kind of broken into, you don't necessarily start at the actual solicitation you're going to do. You create a project first. So when you come in to do that, think of it as like your folder, right? You know, I'm kind of creating my folder for whatever my procurement's going to be. So we're going to be buying beer. Again, I hope I'm getting a smile out of some of you with that. The project type, this is where we started to make some changes. We had some different selections before. So at the project level, you're really kind of saying, what am I doing? Am I doing a small purchase? You know, that for most of you, I'm going to assume that's 100,000 and below. Am I doing something more complex, you know, competitive, something competitive? Is going to be sealed bid or proposal, you know, IFB, RFP, or one of those other types? Or am I doing a notice only? And when I say notice only, that really ties us back if I'm doing a sole source posting, if I'm doing gov to gov, you know, that type of posting where I'm just getting a notice out. You know, I'm putting a notice out to the field. So let me show you guys. I know we got a lot of quick quote users. That's tied, obviously, quick quote to small purchase. So I could hit small purchase, pull down my main organization. In this case, my only choice is general services. Because remember, again, I'm acting as Davina and she is in DGS. I could put some other information in here about other organizations if I'm partnering on this project. There's some neat things we'll dig into at some point about savings tracking and additional commodities. I do have to do a main commodity. So we'll put that in there. Once you hit save, that launches the project. And then that really determines what your choices are. And again, I'm not getting into all the details about creating a sourcing event, but that gets into, that really changes what's available to me. So if I go down to prepare my actual solicitation, that gives me those options because I said it was a small purchase. So I'm unsealed and I can do an unsealed bid or an unsealed proposal, which, what's the other term we use for that? That's basically a quick quote, right? An unsealed bid. So I have that option to select that and off I go. I can add my line items and prepare my RFX, right? I can prepare my solicitation. If I go back to the project real quick, I can switch this. Say I want to have it be a competitive sealed bidder proposal. Let me save that. You'll notice it kind of changes some things here. I get a few more options. Again, I'm not digging into those details today. But if I go in to prepare my RFX types then change to sealed bid, sealed proposal, future procurement. If I'm doing that type of posting, and then I'll show you the last one here because we're almost up on time. If I go to notice only, and again, to get the page to refresh, make sure you hit save. That'll save. Go to prepare RFX, and then I'm able to do my government to government posting there as well, or the one that we call notice only, and then my actual, opportunity type, I can do those sole source and emergency procurements. All right. So if you have access as you get into training, play with that. That really changes, how you're doing things around that RFX type, and certainly then the individual opportunity. And I was even thinking, let me go back to the project and change this real quick to that. So I can actually show you the opportunity type. So I'm back to competitive sealed. If I go to prepare RFX, and if I do sealed bid, that gives me those opportunity types, right? And there's the classic one, invitation for bid. So you get the idea how it builds on itself. The big key to this is that navigation has changed. As you hear from your account executives and get access to the training environment, and if you are a user who does sourcing, definitely something to go in. We really hope this makes more sense to you. Now, I noticed we are right up on the hour. Again, I said the demo was going to be light today. I wasn't digging into all the details. I'm going to stop sharing. I know we are right up on time, and I do see some questions. What we usually do in this case, if we run out of time, is we will take those questions and follow up directly. Either, I think, Kim, you can send the questions and answers to the entire user group, what the response was, or directly to the individual, depending on the type of question we get. So again, sorry we ran up on time, but the questions we do have, I know Kim will make sure she pulls those down, and we'll make sure to get a response out to either everybody, or if it's a more unique individual question, we'll answer that question directly.
Yeah, there's a few questions around converted orders, PCO and EP.
Awesome.
Quick quote, the line and lot, and just some general questions, a lot of which are answered through the training. So if you haven't completed that, can't say it enough, definitely dig in and do your training. And then once you get access to that training environment, you'll get to walk through the steps and practice and hopefully feel more confident. And then we will make sure if there's anything specific to your organization that your account executive follows up with you. But if there's just basic questions, which I've looked through and they're just kind of general, we'll make sure that we answer those. And we can attach that when we put the playback and the PowerPoint on the transition newsroom, just so everybody can get that great information. But keep in mind that we do have updated documents in the transition newsroom related to converted orders and what's happening with converted orders. So those documents should be up to date. So definitely take a look again at those resources. And when all else fails and you just want that person to give you that quick answer, your account executive is available, and reach out to the EVA team. But try to do a little homework. Try to do a little homework first, because a lot of it's out there.
Great. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for your time, attention, and attendance. We absolutely will get these questions followed up with you, with your account executive. And we wish you the best rest of your week, wrapping up August and heading into September. And we will see you in the September for the user group. Let me just throw that date out here real quick. It's going to be September 15th. And we will be putting the pre-registration link on the Transition Newsroom, along with the other date that we have in October, which is October the 13th. So look for those to be added as well. And when we send the playback, I'll add that information. So that is all coming. Keep your eyes posted on your emails. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Barb.
Great.
You guys have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everybody.